Adam, thank you so much for joining me at Risk Minds Americas this year. Tell me, what keeps you awake at night? What risks keep you awake at night?
There are a lot, but I would start with the economy and how volatile it is, and what we're seeing in the market. We see changes in interest rates, we see movement of wealth, we see consumer behavior changing. Right, that can lead to credit losses, to a lot of events where we have defaults, and that's basically the first thing, like the macroeconomic environment and how it's going to affect all the other domains of risk.
Yeah.
The other part is technology. We are more and more reliant on technology, so that increases the attack surface, and that creates more and more opportunities for threat actors to basically steal data and basically use it for uh, malicious purposes. Third thing is regulatory compliance. You have regulators who are issuing guidelines, notices, but you also have industry standards who are evolving with technology. We gotta comply, we gotta follow, right? And that's basically a balance that you need to keep. And finally, you have the operational resilience, which is basically when things go wrong, how fast do you get back in the game? And how fast can you maintain the value that you already created for the shareholder and continue to create value with the competitive environment?
Absolutely. And of course, this year we've already had disruptions on that front as well. Do you think that the balance of these risks that you just mentioned will change in 2025? So we've seen it when COVID hit, that suddenly the financial risks have come into the forefront. But obviously, a lot of these are non-financial risks that you mentioned. Will we see a change in balance again?
I guess that all these risks as macro risks will stay. We'll see changes in the sub-trends. For example, in cybersecurity, you'll see a change in the attack vectors, right? That will create and have ramifications on the financial environment as well. For the economy, I think it's still going to be maintained as a top concern, especially as we're seeing changes in the political landscape, like the US election. And then you'll have a change in the relative importance of these risks. So now you have finance first and then the rest. It's probably going to be like a 50-50 in 25.
Okay, that makes sense. And I wanted to touch upon something that you'll be talking about at Risk Minds International later on in this year, and that is regulations around sustainability, climate risk, etc. How do you see that develop globally and more regionally?
Sure. So, given that sustainability is the response to the climate change in a way, right? Just part of it. So we'll see more and more changes in the frequency of the events. So the impact that it has on regulations is more pressure, right? So now banks and financial institutions are going to be required to disclose more often, with more data and more granularity, if you will, right? More scenarios will need to be tested. So what used to be extreme before will now be normal, as you can see with like the fires in Canada, right? Or the changes in inundations across the world. The other thing is that all of this is going to require more resources, more technology, more precision, and this will create new design imperatives as well for the products. So green finance, instead of being now a nice to have, is going to become an imperative. So I foresee this happening, not as fast as we want it to be, but this is a pressure that is going to be emerging and maybe as a top risk, maybe in 26 and beyond.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much for joining me today, Adam.
Thank you for having me.